This is one of the biggest projects I've shot this year, working with my friend Brianna, who was producing and editing, and I was shooting and directing. This was a series of vignettes about small businesses across Bristol, commissioned by a big funding authority in the Southwest. So there was a corporate budget, but we were able to shoot these little vignettes with small businesses. And I really like that because I often find the stories that we get to shoot are really interesting. They've got more of a kind of moral compass when it comes to how they run their business. So you get some quite interesting stuff. That being said, the films we were making were pretty black and white, but I really loved this day in particular, which is where the only day I was really able to capture any behind the scenes footage. We did 2 other days and getting into our flow. And then by this final day, we knew what we were setting out to achieve. So we're able to get a lot more behind the scenes footage. We were also working with some students on the same course that Brianna and I were on. So our university are the ones who made the connection, got us to work. And then we had this arrangement where they would fund these students to come on for work experience. So they were in the final year of the same course, both really lovely to work with. And it meant that I had a second camera operator, which was really great. So I was running a cam, you can see shooting pretty wide there. I was at around, 35mm for the whole day. And then on the B cam, we were shooting those tighter close-ups, and I had that in 4K 120. So just had that security of I didn't have to be constantly looking over her shoulder, checking what the coverage was. I knew we'd get some nice little inserts to assist with the edit. And this location was really cool. It was a weaving mill in the center of Bristol. They had some incredible colors, textures. The whole vibe of it was just exactly the type of thing I want to shoot. I love making craft films and making films about people who have a very specific skill. The people who work here are incredibly talented. They have modern machinery, but they also do a lot of traditional hand crafting. So really interesting. You can see we're shooting a B-roll here, but what I was trying to do is level it up a little bit and start to light it. So you can see I've used the F22C panel off to the side there, and then we've got that harsher light created by the 60X coming in. So nice to just shoot some B-roll that does look a little bit nicer. I think a lot of the time B-roll is just the last thing you think about. It's just the, assisting footage that you shoot right at the end of the day. But to me, it's equally as important. So even in lunchtime, I was just grabbing little inserts that could help with the edit. In hindsight, we overshot, but in terms of what the brief was, the client wasn't particularly clear with exactly what they wanted until it came to the edit stage, and then they were getting us to cut loads of stuff down. But we shot these interviews, really happy with this frame. I decided to let natural light stream in the background. If I was to shoot this again, I don't know whether I would. I thought it looked really cool on the back wall, but it was very, very bright, peaking, but I saw it was peaking on the day, let it happen, and I couldn't quite achieve the same thing with the 60X. It just didn't look natural. So I decided, look, it brings up the ambient of the whole room. I kind of like the look, but wish there was a way I could have somehow diffused the light and still had that harsh shape, which was pretty much impossible without reintroducing the light with a different fixture myself. So you can see this is our interview setup, throwing on a Rec 709 LUT there, previewed with our levels adjusted, and then a look on top. So really happy with this interview setup. We were running 2 cameras. We had my A7IV as the A cam and FX6 B cam. Looking at the shot again, I do quite like the light because you get a bit of an outline on the plant there on the left-hand side of screen. On this day, or on all 3 days, I was shooting and directing. So asking the interview questions, trying to get what we needed from the contributors. Brianna was making sure that we'd kind of checked off the practical things, the shot list, but I was very much in 2 headspaces. Even though we had a lot of people there, I think that also added to it a little bit. There was just a lot going on. So by this 3rd day, I think I had it down, but we definitely rushed some parts earlier on in the week. And like I said, there were just things that weren't communicated from the client end. So you can see we're rolling for nearly 50 minutes on this interview, I think. And we definitely didn't need to shoot for that long. You can see we've got the DJI Raveneye transmitter, really helpful when you've got multiple people on set, toggling on a LUT there, and really nice to just have that image to hand off to client or to another crew member. FX6 was nice to have, nice reliable camera, set it and didn't really have to worry about it too much. And then of course, just bringing 1 camera of my own saved me traveling down to Bristol. So I just had to bring my lighting, and the one camera. What you're seeing now is some of the B-roll that made it into the final film and some contextual shots around the location. Like I said, really helpful having two cameras to get loads of little inserts, some really interesting textures around the place. That's our final interview that made it into the film. You can see the background is very bright. And then just, yeah, working to get the most variety when moving around the location. Even though I did have someone assisting on second camera, which was, like I said, super helpful, it was an interesting experience shooting and directing for the first time. In an ideal world, I'd help with creative pre-production, light and shoot the thing, but then have someone else there. Even if it's just from client side, just having someone else to ask the questions allows me to keep an eye on everything, because you have to put a lot of faith in yourself, knowing that you've set everything up properly, cameras are all rolling, you know, you've got screens accessible, but you're trying to be present in the moment. It's a lot to be able to balance the two. Anyway, great project to be a part of and definitely learn a lot.